Hey everyone, it's Hunter and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am doing a marriage Q&A. As of today that this video is being uploaded, I have been married for 1 whole year, which is super exciting. I cannot believe I've been married for a whole year already. So I wanted to do a Q&A to celebrate. So if you guys submitted a question, thank you. If you did not submit a question or if you missed the opportunity to submit a question, then be sure to follow me on Instagram because that is where I post all of question things. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull them all up for you real quick. But before we do get started, be sure to subscribe to my channel down below if you have not already, and let's go ahead and get started. The very first question is, what was the hardest part about living together for y'all? So I think the hardest part about living together is that I'm an absolute slob. So it's not necessarily hard for me, but I guess it's hard for him, and I completely understand because I am a total slob. So for example, like his bedside table right now is the picture of perfection. It has his phone charger and the TV remote on it, and mine has a water bottle, a bowl where I ate ice cream in bed yesterday, a bottle of pain medication, a jar with some lip balm in it, a fan, a diffuser, my glasses, some lotion. It's literally covered in stuff. And then beside the bed, I have my backpack, my bullet journal, all kinds of stuff. And beside his bed is nothing. There's nothing on the floor beside his bed. So I'm sure that that has been hard for him to deal with because, like I said, I'm an absolute slob. But I think that's probably the hardest part, is just me picking up after myself because I am not the only person that lives here. Next is the best part of marriage so far. I don't know, living together. I just talked about what was hard about living together, but I think just living with him is so fun. I love being able to spend so much time with him, and I'm not sure how he feels about it. But I know that for myself, we did not live together before we were married, and I was very intentional about doing that. So just like being able to come home to him at the end of the day, or him to come home to me at the end of the day, is just something that I really enjoy being together, I guess. I don't know, because like we used to spend a lot of time together before we got married, but we didn't like end our day with each other. So I don't know, I really love that we come home to each other at the end of the day. Favorite thing the other does for you? My favorite thing that he does for me is makes me food, which seems like the most cliche answer in the world, but he is actually so good at cooking. It's ridiculous. His dad is a chef, so he grew up with his dad's cooking, and he likes experimenting with food, and sometimes he'll come home and he has just made me a whole pizza, and it's delicious. And he's just really good at taking care of the food, of cooking. I'm really bad at cooking, and I try so hard sometimes, but then other times I'm just like, I don't even want to try. So I really love that he's good at food. Is it what you imagined? What surprised you? I'm gonna say yes, it is kind of what I imagined it to be. Like I said, we did spend a lot of time together before we got married, like a lot of time together. He would come over to my apartment as soon as he was finished with work, even if I wasn't there, things like that. But he would always go home at the end of the night, so that sucked. And like he wasn't there when I woke up in the mornings, which sucked. Especially whenever I didn't have to be at work until really late, or something like that. So sometimes we wouldn't see each other. So I think what I imagined it would be is that he's always there, but like a lot of our lives is like very much the same, I guess, in terms of him cooking, the groceries, all that stuff. I don't know how to explain it. Is it really as tough as everyone says it is transitioning from dating to married? And then someone else said, how is it different from dating? So I'll just do those two together. I don't think it was a hard transition for us because, like I said, we didn't ever do long distance. We graduated from school together, and then we went straight into real life together. So he lived like 10 minutes away from me, and I lived in an apartment. He lived in a house really close to his work. It was actually almost easier transitioning from dating to married because for us, we did a lot of stuff together. Like we would buy groceries together, and we would just keep them in my apartment, and he would come over and eat whenever he was ready to eat and things like that. And now that we're married, we don't have to decide who's gonna pay for it because we have a combined income. Same thing with like going out or something. It's never like, oh, you're constantly paying for me. It's like you're paying, but that's just because you have the wallet, if that makes sense. So I think that actually makes it easier because everything's combined. We don't have to worry about who's paying the power bill, who's paying rent, and all that stuff because it's all just together. And the fact that we live together is a little bit easier too because it sucked not being together whenever we were going to bed and waking up in the mornings. I do actually think it's easier than harder. But I feel like it could be very different for other people. I'm not really sure, but for me it wasn't hard at all. And then how is it different from dating? Well, for us, a big difference is that we live together because we didn't live together before, and also we were waiting until marriage. So that's another difference, is that that one. That's a different. But for the most part, like, it's not that different for us. And I feel like if you're someone who lives with your significant other before you get married, then I'm not sure that it'll really feel like that big of a difference, if that makes sense. Secrets to a healthy marriage. Well, since we've only been married for a year, I'm sure there is still plenty to learn. For me, I think doing something without being asked is a big thing. I think communication is a big thing. Like, if the fact that the side of my bed is a wreck is bothering him, I think it's important for him to tell me that it's bothering him. I think just open and honest communication, I think, is really important. Sorry I can't be a wealth of knowledge for you. How do you know when you've found the one? Oh goodness. I don't know that there was ever like a moment for me where I was like, he's the one. But I know for me, I went into the idea of dating with the intentions of marriage at the end of the day. I think that that's what dating is about, is finding out if you're compatible enough with someone to marry them. And like, obviously it's okay to date people, like multiple people, but like Mason was my very first boyfriend, and I knew that I was not gonna date anyone if I did not see the relationship progressing past a very superficial level of just dating. I didn't want to date to just date. I definitely wanted to keep the idea of marriage at the forefront of my mind in the relationship, and if there was any point where I felt like we weren't gonna be good together in marriage, then I didn't want to continue to pursue that relationship. So I definitely think that, so I don't know, I don't know that there's really like a one for everyone. Like, I know that the Lord has planned everything together that way, but he's planned for us to meet that person when the time is right, I guess. So this is perfect. I mean, his timing is perfect. Next is, do you believe in the idea of soulmate? Like I just said before, I feel like, no, I don't feel like, I know that the Lord has perfectly planned my spouse for me, and I knew that he had planned, I know that he had planned Mason for me my whole life. And you know, like in a marriage relationship, I think that, you know, he's planning that before you. There are plenty of instances in the Bible where someone was planned specifically for someone else, and those relationships were perfect in a union under the Lord. So I don't know, that's how I feel about that. The next question is, where did you meet? Was it love at first sight? So we met at school. We were the same major for a hot minute before I changed my major, but we had a class together, and it was absolutely not love at first sight. In fact, I really did not like him. Like, as a person, I did not like him. He drove me crazy. Basically the first time I ever remember like interacting with him at all was I was doing this presentation in class. The assignment was to take a chapter from the book and do a presentation on it. So I was doing the presentation, and at the very end, our teacher made us have time for questions. So I was really hoping that no one was gonna take any time to ask any questions, because I didn't want to answer any questions. Because everything I knew about the subject, I had just told you. So there was literally nothing else for me to say. He comes up, he doesn't come up, he raises his hand, so I call on him, and he asks a question that really embarrassed me, and it was about photography, and I don't know, it just really embarrassed me, and I was just so annoyed because he kept asking me, and I was like, he was like, well, why do you prefer Nikon over Canon? Like, why do you do this? Blah, 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 blah. And like, I'm using a Canon camera now, but I have another Nikon, so it's not like I'm one brand only, whatever. But at the time, I was just so embarrassed, and I was so annoyed. I was like, it's just a preference, like, I don't, whatever. And he tried to apologize at the end of class, and it was not a good time. And then later, like, I don't know, the end of the school year, we did this thing at work together, and then we got to school the next year, and we just became really good friends through our work study, and that was how we met each other. So love that. Do you want to have kids? When do you think you will want to start trying? I really like this question. We do want to have a kid. Right now our consensus is one, but we'll see how we feel after possibly having one in the future at some point. We want to be married for a little bit before we have kids, before we start trying to have kids. I think we talked about like being married for like 5 years, but I don't know how that's gonna change, because we could definitely want to start trying sooner. We could get to 5 years and realize we're not ready yet. But honestly, I don't think we'll ever really be ready, but we've talked about 5-ish years from now, but that's not an obviously set in stone number. But that's just like what we want to do, but we'll see how that plays out in the future. And the very last question is, how many vacations have you guys had? So we went on our honeymoon to Mexico last year, so that was one vacation. And then we went to Myrtle Beach for my birthday. So that's 2. It was only like a weekend thing, but still, that was vacation, and I enjoyed that a lot. And then, so we've only been on 2 right now, but at the time of me filming this video, at the time this video goes live, on March the 9th, 2020, we're leaving to go to Puerto Rico in 2 days because we're going to a wedding. So that'll be our 3rd vacation together. And I'm looking forward to going all over the world with him because I just really want to travel a lot. So yeah, we've been on 3 vacations before. I mean, so far. Well, almost 3 vacations. 2 at the time of of this video going live, but 3 very shortly after. But anyway, that is all I have for today's video. As you can tell, I'm cold. I just keep throwing my blanket on me. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel down below, because I'm gonna be, like I said, I'm going to Puerto Rico. So if you guys want to see those vlogs, definitely subscribe so you guys can see those, check those out. And I'm super excited for that trip. So definitely follow me on Instagram too so you guys can see pictures, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.